Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, my name is Lulla Azzahra from class 9H and my student number is 17. Today we're going to discuss about wish and hope. First, we're going to discuss about what is wish and hope. So, wish and hope are verbs that we use to say what we want or would like to happen. The difference between these verbs is how possible it is to happen. We use hope to express possibilities and optimistic. For example, tomorrow I'm going to face an exam and I already studied really hard, so I'm optimistic that I get an A for the result. And I'll say, I hope I get an A on tomorrow's exam. In this sentence, we use hope because I'm optimistic and it's possible for me to get an A on exam because I'm studying hard. And for wish, we use the verb wish to express impossibilities, pessimistic, regrets, and imaginary situation. For example, you want to go to Bali, but it's impossible for you to go because you don't have much money. And you'll say, I wish I could go to Bali. Why do we use wish in the sentence is because you're pessimistic and also feels that it's impossible for you to go to Bali because you don't have enough money. Now, of course, you already know what's the difference between wish and hope and in what situation you use wish and hope. Now, we're going to move on to the sentence pattern of wish and hope. For hope, it has 3 sentence patterns. The first one is hope or hopes followed by verb 1. I'll give you the sentence example. He hopes he gets the scholarship. He is subject. And why in here we use hopes, not hope, it's because if the subject is I, you, they, we use hope. But if the subject are he and she, we use hopes. So because in here the subject is he, we use hopes. And then followed again by subject, he, and then followed by verb s, gets, because the subject is he, and then the scholarship is the complement. Why we use hope in this sentence is because he's optimistic to get the scholarship, and it's also possible for him to get the scholarship because he already studied hard. The second sentence example is I hope I can be a better person. In here, I is the subject, and then we use hope in here because the subject is I, and followed again by subject, I, and in here is followed by can. But before we continue, I'll tell you the fact about can. So, if you use can in every subject, the following verb always verb 1. Even if we change the subject to he or she, it'll always followed by verb 1. And in here, the verb 1 is be. And a better person is the complement. Why we use hope in the sentence is because I'm optimistic that I can be a better person. Move on to the second pattern is hope followed by to infinitive. The sentence example for this one is she hopes to go to college. So she is the subject and we use hopes in here because the subject is she and then followed by to infinitive and then after that followed by verb 1, go. And if you're wondering why the verb is not verb s, even though the subject is she, well, that's maybe the rules because I don't really know neither. And then followed again but by to infinitive and the word college is complement. And the reason we use hopes is because it's possible to her to go to college and she's also optimistic. The second sentence example is I hope to study medical at college. I is the subject and we use hope because the subject is I and then followed by to infinitive and then followed by verb 1, study. And then medical at college is the complement. Why we use hope in this sentence is because it's possible for me to study medical, and I'm also optimistic. The last sentence pattern of hope is hope or hopes followed by will. The example for this pattern is I hope I will get good grade this year. I is the subject, and then we use hope because the subject is I, and followed again by subject I, and then followed by will, and then followed by verb 1, get, and followed by complement, good grade this year. We use hope in this sentence because I'm optimistic to get good grade this year. The second sentence example is she hopes she will get new book to read. She is the subject, and hopes, we use hopes because the subject is she, and then followed again by she, and then followed by will, and then verb 1, get, and new book to read is the complement. And again, you must be wondering why it's not verb S, but verb 1. So will is kind of same with can, that if we use will with every subject, the verb is always verb 1, not verb S. And we use hope in the sentence is because it's possible for her to get new book because her parents have already promised to her. And now we move on to the sentence pattern of wish. For wish, it also have 3 sentence patterns. So the first one is wish followed by verb 2. The sentence example for this is I wish I had a little brother. I is the subject, and wish, we use wish because the subject is I, and followed by subject again, I, and then had. We use had because it's verb 2, and then a little brother is the complement. The reason why we use wish in the sentence is because it's impossible for me to have a little brother, and I'm also very pessimistic, and this is also an expression of regrets. The next sentence example is she wishes she were taller. She is the subject, and we use wishes because the subject is she, and then followed by subject again, she, and in here we use were. And why we use were? Why not was? Well, it's called a subjunctive, but if you forgot and use was, it doesn't really matter because occasionally native speaker use was, but if you're taking like IELTS and something like that, you have to use were because it's an unreal or imaginary situation. Sometimes they ask about that. And taller is the complement. Why we use wish in the sentence is because it's impossible for her to get taller, and it's an imaginary or unreal situation. The second pattern is wish followed by would. So we use this pattern if we complain about someone's behavior, or we want to change someone's behavior, or we want someone to change their behavior. For example, I wish you will turn off the light in the afternoon. I is the subject, and wish, we use wish because the subject is I, and then we use subject again, but this time the subject is you. And why? It's because the sentence is about complaining someone's behavior, and then we use you, and the subject you is referring to someone, and then followed by would, and then followed by verb 1, turn off. Yes, and the light in the afternoon is the complement. The second sentence example is he wishes you will put the clothes back to the wardrobe. He is the subject, and then wishes, we use wishes because the subject is he, and then the subject you is referring to someone because he complains about someone's behavior, and then followed by would, and then followed by verb 1, put. why not verb S, even though the subject is he? So would is actually pretty same like can and also will. Because if we use would with any subject, the verb have to be always verb 1, not verb S. Okay? And then put the clothes back to the wardrobe. The clothes back to the wardrobe is the complement. The last sentence pattern of wish is wish followed by could. We use could to express something that we want to be able to do. Like the first example, I wish I could be a writer. I is the subject, and then we use wish because the subject is I, and then followed again by subject I, and followed by could, and followed by verb 1 be, and writer is the complement. Why in the sentence we use could and also wish? It's because I want to be a writer, but I'm pessimistic and I think I can make a good story. My story is boring. And I injured my arm and the doctor said that I can't write again. So yeah, it's kind of impossible for me to be a writer. The second sentence example is they wish they could fly like a bird. They is the subject, and then we use wish because the subject is they, and then followed by subject again, they, and then followed by could, and then followed by verb 1, fly, and the last one is the complement, like a bird. So we use could and wish in the sentence is because, of course, I mean human can fly. They don't have wings, and it's unreal and an imaginary situation. So like, I mean, we want to able to fly, but it's impossible. I mean, it's really impossible for a human or people that we can fly. It's very impossible. And that's it, the end of the video. Thanks for watching my video. I hope this video will make you understand about the lesson hope and wish, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.